Hey, it's Tpok, back in Katawa Shoujo, and I'm gonna go learn about time. It makes sense, but she'd have to be pretty careful not to hurt herself. I wonder how many times that happened, given that it sounds like she's cooked alone for possibly years while Akira worked and her parents were gone. With that, the conversation trails off. Compared to the awkward silences of Hanako, Lily seems genuinely content to say what she thinks and stay quiet when there's nothing to say. The slick road under my feet is bathed in an orange glow, the occasional fallen leaf crunching underfoot as we walk. I let out a deep yawn, my lack of sleep coming back to haunt me. Did you not get much sleep last night? I couldn't sleep at all for the last 2 nights, probably insomnia. No biggie. Lily's face suddenly becomes worried. Feels like a personal failure every time she gets worried about my well-being, even if it's genuinely nice to know someone cares. You have insomnia. Aren't you going to see the nurse about it? Document failed to print. Okay, thank you. That's like the 3rd time. Aren't you going to see the nurse about it? Nah, no real need. It's happened before a few times. My meds screw with my sleeping occasionally. I'm sorry. Come on, it's not your fault. At least I shouldn't have any trouble getting to sleep tonight. You do worry me sometimes. I worry you? I reached around and scratched the back of my neck. I kind of want to address this. Hey, Lily. I don't mean to sound weird, but please try to forget about my heart condition. She looks kind of lost. I hardly blame her. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, just don't treat me differently because of it. She bows her head slightly while her white cheeks reddening almost imperceptibly. It's only natural to worry about those around you. Well, it's nice to know that there's someone like that out there. It may be somewhat embarrassing to say, but it's the truth. Lily takes a deep breath to regain her composure and manages a gentle smile, though her cheeks remain flushed. The final walk to the store passes in silence. Welcome. I suppose I'll get my stuff first and Hanako's on the 2nd round. I grab 2 well-worn red baskets from the stack beside the entrance and pass one to Lily. Just as she did before, she lays it on the ground and slides her retracted cane between those basket's handles before picking it back up with her right hand. When she takes hold of my arm in her own, I'm surprised at just how fast this kind of casual contact became so natural. Mostly due to necessity, no doubt. Shall we? Sure. While we navigate around the store, the odd person occasionally passing us pays us no heed at all. It's nice compared to the stares and whispers around the city. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily to see. I quickly check with Lily what she needs and grab it along with what I want, putting our items into their respective baskets. It's an odd feeling to be depended on for something so basic as shopping. Hanako would be practically a necessity for her to pick out what she wants after all. Right, I'm pretty much done with both my stuff and Hanako's. You needing anything else, Lily? No, this should be everything. Off we go then. Oddly, there's a... What? Queue? A mile long. Considering the store's only large enough to warrant 1 counter, it seems like it'll take a while. Damn. Lily gives an inquisitive look, unable to see the reason for my complaint. The queue's really long. Looks like we'll have to wait. How strange. Sharing the same mood of resignation, we reluctantly take our place at the end of the line. One person finishes, the line moves up. Another person finishes, the line moves up. That's how lines work. By the time we finally reach the head of the line, I'm so close to dozing off that Lily has to gently pat me on the back for me to move up. Hisao. Sorry. She gives a short sigh of consternation as I move up, getting the groceries for Hanako and I put into separate bags. Thank you, please come again. By the time we emerge from the store, Lily is holding a single bag while I struggle to carry 4, both hands well and truly full. It's a lot of work, but thankfully the items in them are light. Even without looking skyward, it's obvious that a surprising amount of time's passed, the road outside being dark and lit by street lamps. Once Lily retrieves her cane, we set out back to the dormitories the way we came, leaving the welcoming warm glow of the store. Despite the road being empty of cars, the full bags abundantly make up for the lack of noise, constantly clunking and squeaking together. My, Hisao, it's good to find that you're eating well. I'm a growing guy after all. I need to eat all I can. It must be nice being a man. Oh, what? Seemingly not noticing or ignoring my surprise at the completely out of left field comment, she continues on without missing a beat. Weight doesn't really bother you when eating most of the time. I get what you mean. Women tend to worry about stuff like that more than we do, I guess. Exactly. It makes me somewhat envious, to be honest. Well, it's not like we can outright ignore it. With an affirmative nod, we continue on our walk. Huh. That's right. What is it? Hanako mentioned your birthday was earlier this year. Do anything special for it? She gives a long pause, lost in thought for a few seconds as she recalls the event. Not really. It was just Hanako and I having a little party during the night after school. Your birthday's supposed to be a big event, you know. Sounds like a pretty lonely way to spend a birthday, just she and Hanako staying overnight. Birthdays always felt like a family occasion for me. There were times when, in spite of their full-time jobs, both my parents would make an effort to be there for the day, or at least for a party beforehand. It reminds me of how Lily mentioned she hasn't seen her family in such a long time, and even ended up moving away from Akira's house afterwards. But I guess it's the same in situations as mundane as these. Considering her inability to read the packaging, just getting groceries would be a pain without somebody else around. In the end, she just has Hanako and I, and Akira when she's off from work. Be that as it may, she still seems to have many more distant friends among the students, not to mention people like Yuko. It seems to be her own choice that there's such a separation between those who are close to her and those who she only socializes with. It humbles me a little to see how much Lily seems to have her life set up and going just as she wants. Yet Hanako is there for her to celebrate her birthday, and I'm here helping her with shopping. It's kind of a weird symbiosis, I suppose. Are you alright, Hisao? Sorry? You just seem to go very quiet, that's all. Sorry, I was just thinking. Oh? Now I've piqued her curiosity. Feels kind of overly personal to talk about it, though. I am going to save. Create new save state. But you know what? I'm going to tell her the truth anyway. I was thinking about how you seem to have everything so sorted out, even with Hanako relying on you. I can admit that even I kind of relied on you when I first transferred in. I think it's a good quality to have. I turned to Lily, surveying her reaction. Okay, now you're printing. Right? Hello? She's forcing... What is that? Oh. She's forcing herself to look forward and furrowing her brow quite a bit. Her face looks a bit awkward, as if she was trying to find just the right words. Lily? I would think... the printer is out of paper. How much did you print? I didn't print that much. Like 4 pages. I would think you, but assuming that I don't rely on the presence of others is too much. You'd be wrong to think that Hanako simply depends on me without nothing in return. She seems to have a bit of trouble saying it, even though it's largely what I'd thought already. If she's tried so hard to maintain her independence as anyone would have to in her position, cited or not, maybe she finds it hard to talk about her own needs. It's only now that I realize an omission in what she says, though. I decide to follow it up, largely in jest, to avoid things getting too personal. Oh, and what about me? She suddenly runs ahead of me and turns, blocking me off. With a smile, she holds her hands behind her as she leans forwards. You're different. And with that, she turns back and continues to walk ahead of me, a newfound spring in her step. All I can do is raise an eyebrow and give a dazed grin. I don't think I've ever seen her this playful and teasing side of her before. So I'm different. It's hard to work out the exact context, but knowing her, this ambiguity was intended. Printer, what's your deal? Our relationship has been changing, at the very least simply because I've begun to stand on my own feet more and started getting more curious about the situation of those around me. As to why, probably a mix of personal curiosity and a want to try and work out how to deal with my situation. I'm less sure of Lily, though. That's why her own statement, so similar to my own feelings towards her, throws me off so much. Watching her make her way up the street, cane tapping from left to right, I decide to settle on the matter later and just smile. This is a nice side to her, and I don't want to forget it. Eventually, we get to the girls' dormitories, both my arms aching from the weight of 2 sets of groceries. We're finally here. Whew. I bend down to wipe my forehead with the back of my hand. Lily stomps in front of her door and sets down her bag, fishing around in her pocket for the key. Thank you, Hisao. I really appreciate your help. This is nothing. It might be nothing to you, but it's definitely something for me. And with that, she steps through her door, closing it behind her. I blink. Those were nothing but honest things, but I can't help feeling something different about them. Anyway, I have something else to do before I can mull on that at my leisure. I turn back to the door to Hanako's room and proceed to knock twice in quick succession, the bag still in my hand rustling together. After a couple of seconds, the door slowly opens. If one weren't looking closely, they could have been forgiven for thinking it hadn't moved at all. I twist my head to the side and try to peer through the tiny sliver of a gap between the door and the door frame. Hey Hanako, I've got your stuff. With that, she opens the door completely, making her plain room visible over her shoulder. Sparsely decorated, it's probably even more unremarkable than my room. I hold out my right arm, both bags almost pulling it straight back down with their own weight. Thank you, Hisao. I'm sorry to make you carry them all this way. It's fine, don't worry. Just don't make me do it every day, okay? I pass the bags to her as I give a light-hearted chuckle. After the initial transfer of weight, she seems to take them easily. I'll be off then. Night, Hanako. Good night, see you in class tomorrow. With a deep bow, her groceries still held in both hands, she steps back and shuts the door. Making my way back to my own dorm, I put one bag into my other hand to balance them out. Even as I do so, I can't get Lily's light-hearted smile out of my mind. When I had first met her, it would have been nearly impossible to imagine her like that. Indeed, it feels like we've become closer in the past few weeks since I first got to know both she and Hanako. The time that I'd spend with her each day, the small exchanges of happiness we share, those small moments of joy as I get closer to her. I'm far from certain, but I don't think these are just the normal feelings of friendship. Once I return to my room, I store away my groceries and begin getting ready for night. Oh, not that. Not that. Not a Wanako. I swapped the school books in my bag for those I'll need tomorrow, pulling out the yellow envelope Misha gave me earlier in the process. I got so sidetracked by one thing after another I couldn't deal with it earlier. Who could have written me, I wonder? The name neatly adorning the back of the envelope freezes me in my tracks. It's been so long since I've seen her writing, there's little chance I could have identified it as hers otherwise. Iwanako. Why should she have written me? I can't think of any good reason for her to do this. I almost don't open the letter, but there'd be little point to that. If I just left it alone, its mere existence would gnaw at me until I did something about it. I look down at the piece of paper on my desk, its bright and summery decoration beaming happily at me. The lettering is in pink, jarring badly with the yellow sunflower border or the card. What? Oh. The handwriting is neat. The characters have been written thoughtfully and with an unusual amount of care. I'd barely given the letter a second thought when it was given to me, but now I can't get its contents out of my mind. I don't know if I've read this before, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Well, I'd like to say that I don't know why she used such an old-fashioned method of communication, considering a phone call or an email would be both much faster and easier. The answer feels obvious enough given the content. A letter leaves a comfortable distance between the sender and the recipient. Unlike the phone, it isn't required that you engage in conversation, and unlike email, there is less expectation of an immediate reply. Statements such as, "The third year seemed to be very anxious about final exams," and "It's so weird to think we're already seniors, isn't it?" are just small talk. Small talk that could have been achieved by simply replying to any of the messages I'd sent her while in the hospital. The ending, though, is the true reason she sent this. The last couple of lines added almost as an afterthought. "I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't." It's a statement that should hurt. I've always heard breakups are nasty stuff. Wait, you weren't even together, man. She asked you out and you had a heart attack. But it feels like this is simply a reaffirmation of what we both already knew existed. Instead, is the preceding text no more than small talk that makes me feel most uneasy. I can't figure out why. No matter how long I sit here, I look down at this bright and summery piece of paper. If you would like to correspond with me, by all means, please write me back. It's plainly obvious this is not a type of letter to be replied to. In the end, this letter is no more than a simple abdication of responsibility, a final statement to reassure herself that our relationship is over. It actually never began, but okay. As such, I find I have little problem in scrunching the letter and envelope into a ball and tossing it into the waste bin, ridding myself of its existence. Nice job. Why couldn't you do that with a Hanako's path? I go to bed with mixed feelings, cheated out of pleasant evening by this intruder from the past. Ironically, it takes me a while before I can manage to sleep. I like that. How I did that. It's like, you know what? I don't need this. Toss. I sweat profusely, awaiting the dreaded moment. What is this? Each tick of the clock tenses my muscles that much more, every minute making more hairs stand on end. It's coming for me. I can feel it. Death. What the heck is this? Death, in the form of a single sheet of paper. Am I taking a final? Are you kidding me? I take the small pile of papers from the student in front of me and pass it backwards after plucking off the top piece. Looking to the top right of the page, I find my fears realized within that small red circle. 43. 43%? Wait, what? I hang my head and sigh in resignation. Cursing under my breath, I can feel the aura of a similar sentiment rising from the entire class. It's strange, but that fact lifts my mood by a minuscule amount. Misery loves company, I suppose. As the teacher opens his mouth, the room braces for the inevitable onslaught, only to be saved at the last minute. We quickly move to collect our bags and leave for the lunch post-haste, but the teacher delivers a parting broadside. We'll be discussing the class's test scores next lesson. Needless to say, there will be quite some discussion to be had. Wait, that wasn't even Matao. What class am I in? A collective groan resounds from the class, now reduced to shuffling out dejectedly. I push the sheet into my bag as I walk along the hallway, crumpling it in the process. It's enough that such a troublesome letter ended up on my desk yesterday, and now this. I hate English. Oh, okay. Ow. A stern female voice gruffly calls out from behind me. It's Misha. freeze on the spot, my face becoming like a stone. It's as if I can feel my brain disconnecting from my body. My eyes slowly shift right, trying to catch a glimpse of the disembodied voice. Nothing. My face begins to slip as time passes, and I decide to risk turning my head. Ever so slowly, I twist it to the... Yeah! I jump into the air and drop my bag, yelling out in surprise. As I recover and regain my composure, I turn to see. I should have known. Emmy. What? Gotcha, Hisao. She stands there with a mischievous grin on her face, hands forward and fingers pointed inward. She was the one who jabbed my ribs with her fingers. Oh. I look down at her with a grimace, rubbing my hair in frustration. That's no way to greet someone, you know. You have no sense of humor. I left my sense of humor